Peter, what are you making of the current currency issue in emerging markets? This is really nothing new, right? All we are getting in is an exacerbated reaction on the lira, which has led to most of your emerging market currencies correcting quite sharply in early trade. Do you think it's just a matter of time that central banks probably come together, take action to prevent the situation from getting worse? Or this seems like it's already going to get worse and there's very little central banks can do?
Well, good morning, Selena. I think that pretty much summarises the situation. I think it's going to be a very difficult situation to play out, though there are many moving parts, as we can appreciate with American air bases in Turkey, and of course, geopolitically, they're very aligned versus the ISIS and the ex-Syria days and so on. So I think it's a hard one to quantify as far as how much further falls we're going to see in the lira. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit further, but I think it'll settle down probably later in the week. It'll probably bounce from this, but probably a little bit more softness over the next week or two of trading.
Peter, there was commentary that's come in from the central bank, from the ministry, where I think they've urged Turkish individuals to go out and sell their euro, to sell their dollar, to sell their gold, buy the lira. But I think Turkey's bigger worry beyond US slamming them with those import duties is the fact that they have an extremely loose monetary and fiscal policy. Inflation, we'd imagine, should be a worry for them, but clearly they seem to be ignoring all that. Surprisingly, the central bank there hasn't even hiked rates. What do you think could be expected from the Turkish central bank to control the fall of the lira in the next couple of days?
Well, those efforts by the government to rally support across the nation from its population to say, right, sell gold, sell dollars, sell euro, buy lira, that can only work if there's a concerted effort from the man in the street to prepare to do it. No one likes to be a bullish seller when you've got a market against you, and we all understand, the Erdogan situation and what's transpired over the last couple of years there. So, and if we do see momentum and they seem to be able to stop it, then I would say that the central bank may sit on its hands for another couple of weeks. But if they can't, contain this market downfall, it's going to be very difficult for the bank to do anything else other than raise rates. And, and then you've got the inflationary fears and other issues that any central bank would have to be very conscious of. So, again, many moving parts and many different agendas on the table at the moment. It's just going to be a little bit of a wait and see over the next, week or so, Samina, to get a clear undertaking as far as what strategy is going to be, come out of this.
Right. Peter, do you think with regards to where Turkey is concerned, there could be a situation where it could come down to an IMF bailout as well? And with that, what do you think could be an impact with regards to where other Asian markets are concerned?
Is there going to be a bailout? Yeah, that you'd have to let your mind wander across that, and and take on board also from the Italy and the Greece situations of recent years, and of course Portugal and Spain. Turkey seems to be a little, a fairly solid from a performance angle, very solidly put together, economically. But what's transpired in the last couple of weeks is a little bit of a wake-up call. So how that moves forward, again, is just, seeing what transpires in the short to medium term, what action central banks do take, what action is Erdogan going to remain in power? Are there multiple agendas at play? It's a hard one to contain, and once you've got, these sort of talks that you've seen, like a return to an Argentina, politically it's very difficult for Parliament to maintain the status quo, so there could be many agendas play out from there as well.
Peter, what does that mean for emerging market currencies, the rupee in particular? We're staring at an all-time low on the currency this morning. How much more pressure on the local currency could be anticipated? You think we've also had IP data that's come at a 4-month high on Friday?
Well, have a look at the US dollar. I mean, we're conscious as far as what's going on in the second half of this year, and certainly over the next 3 months. I think it'll be 1 or 2 rate rises. So if that's where we're going, then they've probably been factored in. But there's that also, you've seen what's happened with gold. It's been fairly heavily sold off. The shorts are being squeezed. Or you could see them squeezed. The other side, of course, is how that all plays out from, the energy sector, what goes on as far as from the emerging markets, and whether you're going to see, fund inflows. They're just, I think at the present time, everyone's pretty much long dollar. The markets across it, and, you're looking at the rupee, you look at a lot of those different Asian emerging markets, they're all being hemorrhaged a bit, and it just seems to be at the moment that, the bulls are out. The US dollar's the success story, and that's where traders are making the majority of their trades and the majority of their profits.
Very quickly, Peter, last word on oil this morning. There's been a slight gain coming in crude on back of supply concerns. At least that's what we seem to preempt this morning. What is the trajectory on crude? Are you biased on the upside for this week at least?
I think you've got to be long at the moment, Shamina. I think there's probably a little bit further upside. The geopolitical, what impact does Turkey play on here? What sanctions and how does Iran play? Where's Russia situated on all of this? As we know, Russia is very, very, strategically very closely aligned with Turkey. So, again, if you're seeing that crude market bounce from here and it goes stronger, then that wouldn't surprise me. So geopolitically, you've got to be, mindful of it. And also, I keep on saying, but August is normally the start of the hurricane season, and I think it's going to be a pretty wild, weather events and weather outages over the next couple of months in the US. So that could really contain or not contain, but really affect the market. And I think at the present time, you've got to have you've got to be bullish crude for the short to medium term over this Northern Hemisphere summer.